Hi, this is Peter Dart Clairvoyant here, but I'm not really doing this video today to do with anything to do with the readings or anything like that, but I'm just voicing my thoughts about everything. And I've just got up this morning and I've gone on YouTube, and you know how we get the lists of videos that we've liked and they send them all through, so we can watch more videos. It's YouTube's way of getting us to keep watching, which I'm not getting at that. That's great, because it's what we want. And just bear me 2 seconds. I'm just going to put the eating on because I'm a bit nesh. Okay. Right. And Greta Thunberg come up. But it wasn't a Greta Thunberg video. It was The Guardian. And they did a post on it. And then I've got all these comments coming down. There must have been, I don't know, hundreds. And they were ripping into it. And I just thought, wow. It's like, why have people got to find fault? And I did some research myself and I couldn't find the answer. The trouble is you can scroll the internet sometimes and you're looking for something specific and you never find the answer. And it because sometimes the answer may be not there, or maybe you just can't find it because there's so much other crap. So I don't know where they got the information from, because I can't bloody find it. But they're basically criticising her because she's come up with this idea that she's not going to fly because of the carbon emissions, which I get. So she's got on this boat and she sailed all the way to America. And then they're criticising because the boat is carbon fibre or something to do with that. They're criticising that, you're drinking out of water bottles. So the water bottles. So there's that. And then they're saying, and then when they get there and they come back, they're all going to catch a plane to come back. And I'm thinking, okay. And then my own mind's going, well, how are they going to take the boat back? And then I read somewhere, the crew have been flown over there to take the boat to Europe. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, okay, I get what they're saying. But it's like, hang on. Why are they trying to criticise instead of trying to help her? I just think it's just disgusting. At least this girl is getting off her arse and doing something. I mean, how old's this girl? 13, 14? I could be wrong, a bit younger. Is she sitting there and just putting her makeup on her own and being girly? No. My God, she's doing more than I've ever done, adventure-wise. So it's like, give her some bloody credit. It just makes me angry. It really does. Because at the end of the day, none of us are perfect. I mean, the people who are criticising, they probably know deep down something's not right. But do they still drink out of bottles of water? Do they still drive around in the cars? Do they still put the electric on? Do they still go out for fast food, eating meat and whatever else? I don't know why, but at the moment I feel wound up. And it's like, I've always loved nature. And the point I'm getting is here, some people don't like Trump, like some people don't like Boris. And I feel like, in a sense, I think there's more to Trump than we realise. And I'm not getting political here. So I think he's got an agenda. I think he wants to get rid of, the I forget what they call them now, the bank that organises all the money. We've got the Bank of England. These systems that run the money. And I feel like he's got this agenda where he wants them to basically fuck up. So he makes everything look that they've done it all and they haven't fixed it. So the government can take back control and run the system right. I could be wrong, but I just feel like that's his agenda. And I think maybe he's right. Because at the end of the day, it's like, let's just take our little country. We're just one country in all the Western world. And everybody keeps saying, oh no, property prices aren't going to crash and whatever. And I'm not saying they're right, I'm not saying they're wrong. Property always fluctuates. But the average wage in this country, the average wage, it's about 300 quid a week now with minimum wage if you do about 40 hours. So that's giving you, let's just ballpark it, is 20 grand a year. So let's just say you aren't lucky enough to have a partner and that person's on the same wage, that's 20 grand. So if you go back to the old system of working out your income to buy a property, it would be 3 times the main breadwinner. So 20/60, deal for 20 is 80. So that's £80,000 that you can borrow. Some terraced houses are more than that. So how are you going to be able to buy, a 3-bedroom Sammy? It just can't be done. And before it was all going up and up, that high minimum wage wasn't in. So it was less than that. So in other words, what I'm saying is, it doesn't match income. It just doesn't. So what I'm saying is interest rates being so low have made cheap money. And it's been able inflate the property market. And that's what's created high property prices. It's not there isn't enough property out there. There are loads of houses out there. There are houses that are empty and need doing up. There are shops that are empty and that can be converted. There are pubs that are being shut down and can be converted in flats. I know we need houses as well, don't get me wrong. And I'm not saying I'm completely right. But I just think it's just a load of rubbish. And it's more tighter now to perhaps move because not many people are selling properties, but it's because we're stuck in a vicious circle. So that's that. Okay, but that's not my agenda here. My agenda is this environmental thing. But this is just one part of it. So going back to Trump, I think he's got some good ideas. And I think he's got some negative ones. And one of his good ideas, or right what he's saying, is I think what's going on with China. But then I've read somewhere and say, well, it isn't China's fault. It's the government's fault. Because we, the government, well, not me, but I'm saying we, the government, wanted to make more money. So we shipped our industry off over to China to make it cheaper so to make more money. So in a sense, it is our own fault. We've done it. Trump's perhaps trying to fix that. So we can't blame China for everything. But he's right what he's saying. If you import, a vehicle over to China, you've got heavy import costs. But if China imports it over here, there's not so much. So it's not a fair system. So, but it's all very political and whatever else. So I get it and I understand it. But then my point is, it's caused such a blow up now, and there's tit for tat going on now. And I forget what the grain is now. There's some kind of grain or crop now that China's saying, right, that's it. All orders are stopped. And this is why Brazil, I think it's Brazil, are burning all these Amazon forests. And the Brazil president, or whatever he is, prime minister, he's saying it's not me, it's blah, blah, blah. It's the farmers, they're taking control. But they've seen an opportunity now to grow all this crop for China. Because the damage is done now of what Trump's been trying to do. Now, I'm not blaming Trump, because I feel like he's right what he's trying to do, but I just think it's wrong the way he's doing it. I just get the feeling there's a better way. I don't know what that way is. I'm not a politician. I'm not into that kind of thing. But it's escalated. It's getting out of hand. So, it's not good. So all of a sudden now we're burning our forests that are sucking in all the carbon. And when that was happening, I just felt so sad. Animals have been here for millions and millions of years. And the world's flourished. It's been in balance. An animal doesn't kill because it wants to kill. It kills because it needs that food at that particular time. It doesn't need money. The abundance is there. But us humans, we created money. Animals are all equal. They haven't got this, they haven't got that. They haven't got televisions, they haven't got cars. Everything's there that they need to live a happy, abundant life. You see where I'm going with this, don't you? Excuse me. So, we created the monetary system, and we thought it was good. And as the Industrial Revolution came about, 50 to 100 years ago, it all kicked off, didn't it? We created oil. We didn't create it, was there, but we created it, we made it into what we need, which then created cars, which created trains, we created flights, and then that created more jobs, more power, more influence. Politics grew. The Industrial Revolution. Hey, we can all have these wonderful things. Now, I get the influence of money, because it's, let's say if money wasn't in it, we as people would all want that Ferrari. But if we all had that Ferrari, it wouldn't be anything exclusive, would it? So it wouldn't influence the rich to become richer, to make things. So I kind of get the incense of money, because it's like, we can't all be rich, we can't all be middle class, we can't all be poor. We can't all just live on the street. Well, we can, but do you get what I'm trying to say? We've got to have the poor, we've got to have the middle class, we've got to have the rich. It creates the balance. But you might sound, that's horrible saying it like that, we need the poor, we need this, we need that. What I'm trying to say is, money creates an influence. If we all add the money that was there, we'd all be having the big houses. That would cover the planet. We'd all have the Ferraris. It wouldn't become anything exclusive. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying it's creating a balance. But the balance is getting out of step. The rich are getting greedier. When the economy crashed, let me go before that. When we vote a government in, we vote them to do things for us. We want a better quality life. Not so much about getting rich, But we want to be able to go to that hospital and get looked after. We want to be able to go see that doctor down the road and get cured. We want the police to police us and to look after us. We want to be protected. We want the criminals to be put away. Okay? So we vote a government in to do that. Okay? Now, I'm not going to go down the route of where we say, oh, the politicians are out for themselves, they're making money. I'm not saying they don't. Not everybody wants to be a politician, so they're going to get something out of it. Again, it's balance of power. Okay? You want to think when you've done your term and you've worked your 14-hour days, you've got your stress, you want something out of it. But I'm not going there. Forget that bit. Let's just stick with the principle. We vote them in. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Because when we voted them in, they have got to keep us happy. Now, they know they can't please us all, but they've got to be seen that they're doing something. Okay? So we want these hospitals, we want the police, we want this, we want that. We want our pensions. Where's the money coming from? Let me give you a little insight. A fireman. Now, no disrespect to firemen. They do a dangerous job. They look after us. Okay? We need them. They protect infrastructure. So this is, if you're a fireman listening to this, I have got no disrespect to you. I've got the utmost admiration. Okay? But this is just the society that we live in and the influence. So I'm not saying I'm correct with everything here, but this is just bog basic. Let's just say a fireman's on 30 grand a year. Okay? Now, this may have changed. So let's just say, I don't know how long a fireman works before he retires, but let's just say if he works going in 10 years, and that's 30 grand. Now, like I say, I may have my facts a bit wrong here, but this, like I say, I'm not going to be completely correct about this, so I'm not saying I am. But this is just bog basic. So let's just say he's on 30 grand a year. And then let's just say he retires early, or he gets injured, or whatever. So, and then he gets his pension. So let's just say if he's worked 10 years in that fire brigade. Okay? Or even 20 years. So he's put in all that time, but all that tax and national insurance. So take 10 grand off because you're tax free. That leaves 20 grand. Let's just say bog basic, 25% tax and national insurance altogether. So a quarter. So a quarter of 20 grand is 5 grand. 5 grand times by 10 years is 50. So over 10 years, that person's paid 50k in. So let's just say if that person retires at 60 through ill health or whatever it may be, that person could have retired before. So let's just say if he's retired at 60 and he's got this great pension now from the government. Now, I'm not sure what that pension's going to be, but let's just say it's going to be a good pension. And let's just say if it's absolute minimum 10 grand, but I'm sure it's more than that. So let's just say this person now lives till 80. So that's 20 years. So it's getting 10 grand a year. So 10 10's 100. 20 years is 200,000. So that's 10 grand. That's just the minimum that I'm saying. So that's 200 grand over 20 years. He hasn't paid that much in tax. What if he's started in the fire grade later? He's paid less in. What if he started early but got injured? Do you get what I'm saying? You know, I could be upsetting a few people here saying this, but what I'm trying to say, my point is, and this is any profession, the police force, the prison service, the government, these great pensions that they so-called get, they may not be as good as they were in the past, but I don't know what they're getting now, and I'm not pretending to do, but I'm just saying ballpark figures. I talked about a minimum of 10 grand, it's probably damn sight more than that. Maybe I ought to do a bit of research to prove my facts, and maybe my facts would say it's more, because I can't see it being 10 grand, can you? But do you get me point what I'm making? I'm saying drawing out more than what we've paid into the system. So this is where, the stock market comes in. This is where we make the money. But the stock market's it's a bubble. It's growing and growing and growing, like in America, at rates. And why is it growing? About 90% of the people don't even know. About 90% of people who are going to watch this video that I'm producing don't know why or what's going into it. Yes, there may be some people like me and you who are investing in the stock market. And then there's the people who invest in it, pensions and whatever. But also, when the economy crashed in 2008, the government started to flood the money with market. Where did that money go? Where did it go? Quantitative easing. I didn't get it. Did you? Did you get any of that money? So where's it gone? The banks had it. What did the banks do? Cover their arses because they're so indebted, and use some of that money to invest perhaps themselves, or they were giving it to people who invested, so then they could make money off that free money. So in other words, it's all gone flooded into the stock market. And this is why it's rose and rose. Do you think it's rose because the economy is doing great? Do you feel great? Do you feel like you're flourishing in your home? Do you feel like you've got loads of money to throw around? Have you had great pay rises? I don't. I wouldn't say I'm doing brilliant. I suppose I could say I'm doing a little bit better than some people. But I don't feel like I'm flourishing. I feel like sometimes struggling, making ends meet sometimes. Got a big mortgage because the property market, bubbled. Food prices have gone up. Electric's gone up. Gas has gone up. Why does gas and electric go up? Because they want more money to invest, or they're just greedy. How much has your electric bill gone up over the years? This is what I'm talking about. Everything's gone ridiculously costly, and yet we're not seeing anything for it. So it's all these things, and it's all connected around money. And going back to Greta Thunberg, I feel really proud of her, of what she's doing, but I just don't feel like nothing's going to change. And she could say to me, well, that's the attitude, that doesn't make change. And 100% she would be right to say that. And, I'm the first thing to say when I'm reading to my clients to change, to fight for the change that you're seeking. So I should be fighting to change the environment. But the trouble is money. The governments are going to say they've got no money. So they won't make all these changes. I was watching a video the other day on YouTube, and they're saying we've got all this time, and they're saying we haven't. That tipping point's now. They're saying if the climate goes up 2%, it could kill a lot of bugs and flies and things like that. And we all think, well, we don't want them anyway. You dirty little buggers. But they're the balance of nature. And we need nature to live. We are absolutely destroying our planet. Look what's happening in Brazil. I felt like I wanted to cry. And it's because Brazil wants to grow this crop now to send to America, to send to China. In one sense, I can't blame Brazil. They're a poor country. They want to better themselves. But at what cost? So going back to what I was trying to say, the governments are here to please us. What they need to do, and they know what they need to do, and they won't do it because we wouldn't vote them in again. Interest rates need to go back up to a minimum of 5%. Now you might think, I'm just saying that now because I'm sitting in my nice house and I'm okay. I'm not okay. I've got a really high mortgage. I've got a really high interest rate. And if interest rates were to go up more, another 5%, I could lose my house. And a lot of other people out there could. But what would happen is it would restore the balance. So property prices drop, there's a crash. And what happens as a crash? It restores the balance. Throughout the Industrial Revolution, we've had booms and busts. And Gordon Brown said, I have stopped the growth and the bust. The bust creates balance. If I were to set up a business and I get it going, and then all of a sudden it gets to a point where it's not working, does the government come in and bail me out? No. I have to go bust. Because if I don't, and I just keep borrowing money, I get indebted. So it's not real, is it? It's fake. It has to crash. And when you crash, you learn. You then look at what you did wrong. Was it the product? It just wasn't wanted? Was it that I did something wrong, something foolish, something incorrect? So it makes you think. So you can create the new cycle and go again. My first business, I was running a kitchen in a pub, and it went bust. And I kept it going by taking on a job so I could pay my mortgage. A part-time job. but that restaurant just wasn't working. In the end, I felt squeezed and I had to walk away. Oh God, I had a row with the bloody pub guy. He wanted to keep me going because I was bringing people in drinking, but he was all right. But I was struggling and I had to go bust. But if the bank had just kept borrowing me money, I would have kept plodding along, but there would have been no growth. I wouldn't have pulled more customers in because the business wasn't working. I'd have just stayed still or got less coming in eventually, but just kept going. So I'd have been sitting in perhaps my posh house, perhaps buying a bigger house, but my business is failing. Is that right? And that's what recessions are for. We can't just keep growing and growing and growing. There has to be a catch-up. And property, it just kept growing and growing and growing. There's no come down to let people's wages come back up and catch up. Just bear me a second, my battery's running flat. It's not switched on. Oh, it is. So we need the booms and the busts. It creates balance. We've not had a bust. When the 2008 financial crisis kicked in, the government panicked. They didn't know what to do. So they chucked all these millions of billions of pounds at the banks. So now the banks have said, oh, they bailed us out. It's what they expected. They're too big to fail. So now, we'll go back. What was the financial credit crush? It was all about subprime mortgages. And I don't mind being honest. My mortgage is a subprime mortgage. So I know what I'm talking about. Do you know when I was running my catering business, I set it up with my inheritance. And I ploughed it all in, and it was growing and growing. And at that peak, I was doing really great. I think I was turning over 3k a week. And I said to my wife, one more year at this and we've cracked it. And I said, and, we won't need any government assistance, sort of financial support, the family tax credits. And you might think, God, we were getting family tax credits, we're on £3,000 a week. Well, what it was is your income is predicted backwards. So, and plus, it wasn't that we were making loads of money ourselves at that particular point, because money was going in circles. I had one company that owed me 10 grand. So on paper, I was cash rich. God, I'm doing 3k a week. I must be making £1.5 a week. Freaking heck, I wish I was. Businesses were always owing me money. And then my overheads were high. I think my overheads were about £600 a week. £600 every week my overheads were. I had my rent, I had 2 vans, I had staff, electric bills, gas bills, phone bills. It was crazy, the amount I spent. Part-time staff. So it was hard. It was bloody hard work. I forgot where I'm at now. Rambling on that much. So I come backwards and forwards here with different things. So yeah, that was it. So I said to my wife, I said, another year at this, we've cracked it, and we won't need family credits. I said, we'll be able to come off. Because I wanted that goal. I didn't want the government supporting us. And that year, we need to move house because me and Jocelyn, we were living in our 2-bedroom terraced house. And we got Princess, Tina, Christian, and Lawrence. So there was like 4 kids, 2 adults living in a 2-bedroom terraced house. So we needed to move. And I knew property prices were going up and up and up and up. And I was iffing on, should I do it? Can we afford it? And I just thought, oh, if we don't do it now, we'll never do it. We just won't be able to afford to do it. But you know what? And I was iffing on and would have get it, but I was confident for some reason. And you know what? I just made a figure up what I was earning. And I wasn't earning it. And you know what? We got that mortgage. It was just like that. So that's how easy it's been to get a mortgage. And because of that, more and more people were buying bigger or borrowing more against their properties. So the bubbles got bigger and bigger. And then it popped. And I lost everything. My income, my sales dropped from 3K a week down to 600. I was crapping it. Absolutely. And not only that, I bought a new car. Not new, second-hand, but a new car. But at that time, I felt like the business could afford it, and it was growing every month or every year. It was growing. And I also took on another van because the business was expanding. So in that year, I took on another van, a car, and a mortgage. And my mortgage, back then, when I just bought it in 2008 and moved in this house, £800 a month. And you know what the scary point was? It was interest only. How many people have took out an interest only mortgage? Wow. So I'm being very personal here. And I'm being very personal here because I'm just trying to state what a bloody mess we're all in. And everybody just thinks it's okay. And this is the balance of power I'm talking about, the balance of money. So it all came crashing down. And I lost my catering business. My life savings I put into that. And over the last 10 years, it's like property hasn't crashed that much. It's gone up a bit more. Like it dropped and it's gone back up again. But the economy hasn't changed. So how can property keep going up? How? How can the stock market keep going up? Have you bought more iPhones? You might have done, but we haven't bought them many. I mean, let's face it. In the last 10 years, have Apple brought out a new product or loads of new products that's made them this super powerful company and they're so rich in the stock market? Have they? No. No, no, no. All they've done is repackaged that product every year. They've had something a little bit different. That processor's just got a little bit better. That camera's just got a little bit better. But it's the same bloody product. It's a bit like me sort of cooking, a lovely fish, but that fish is the same product, but I've just added an onion. But that onion's out there.